Okay, I'm doing well too. Claire, the how are you is arranged.
Okay, so let's go straight in the front page.
Okay, let's start with the Daily Guide. It's reporting this morning 4 injured in Kumasi gas explosion. NDC snaps backbend spill at Trade Fair Congress and dismissal. So dismiss cathedral suit. AG, no, the AG is making the God what they call argument, right? They're saying that listen, stop saying this now about secular state. We are a state that believes in God. The preamble to the Constitution says, "In the name of God, we the people." If some people don't want to be part of the reader people, no problem. So that is government's defense in this particular case. There's another one about Metro Mass crashing and killing 6 people, and that terrible story is also on the front page of the Daily Guide.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, $40 million from World Bank for Ghana tourism, gas for powering development. There's a special pullout on that one. All teachers to hold degrees. That's according to Minister for Education Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. And economy on safe ground. House Finance Chairman.
Now, the Herald is reporting this morning Volta police head to crash anti-OT elements, and also NPA and EPA bosses must resign over gas explosion. There's a story about Men's Gold commencing payment of clients as promised, also on the front page of the Herald. Another one, anger growing against Medina MP as contractor abandons Rose project in the area, and has a picture of Abubakar Siddiq on the front page of the paper.
On the front page of the Chronicle, Otumfuo presents report on Dadbon to presidents today. GRA foils attempted diversion of export petrol, and Chief Justice probe nails Justice Jemfi. Justice Osei Kwame Jemfi may be invited by the Honorable Chief Justice to meet with some of the Supreme Court justices to mentor him or to be retrained by the JTI. That's according to the Chronicle.
Now, there's a chief superintendent by name Phyllis Amatibua say that the woman's a big woman. She's actually won a 2018 UN Female Peacekeeping Award in this case, and she's been celebrated all over the place.
Yeah, I saw it on the WhatsApp group I was on yesterday.
Brilliant. Yeah, that woman is on the front page of the Finder paper. ADB Staff Union, they are opposing the possible ADB NIB measure in the making. You know, the finance minister made reference to some development bank supposed to be put together some way, somehow. And there's also a story about Ghana to outdoor its first certified gold bar, refined gold bar on Tuesday. And those are the stories that the Finder is reporting this morning.
On the back page of the Daily Graphic, there's that story about how we lost the match to Mali in the women's AFCON. And the headline is Basira Toure breaks Ghana hearts. And yes, our hearts are broken. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, no tin, no free SHS. Finance Ministry cautions parents. Cocoa Board, CSS and Tango over payments to cocoa farmers. An attempt to seal leakage caused Kumasi gas explosion.
Now, today is reporting Tony Edu slams NDC for allowing Mahama to address Congress, and that gas explosion story is also on the front page, together with the no TIN, no free SHS story, also on the front page of the Today paper.
On the front page of the Ghanaian Observer, diploma for trainee teachers phased out. There's also the gas explosion story on the front page as well. Mahama's 40-year development plan is nonsense. That's according to Tony Edu, and that story about Otumfuo as well.
Well, now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, 2-month-old baby in jail with mother. That's on the front page of that paper with, we are not part of agreement to perform funerals. And Danis are the ones speaking here, one of the gates in that Dagbon soon to be resolved conundrum.
And finally, from me on the front page of the New Crusading Guide, danger, PBC is sinking over uneven competition. 3 envoys call on President Akufo-Addo to bid Ghana farewell. And ADB Staff Union goes wild over ADB NIB merger.
Right, thanks guys. Let's go into the first story, which is yesterday. We carried this on the show, the gas explosion in Kumasi.
Yes, at least 12 people have sustained severe burns when a gas filling station at Krofrom in Kumasi exploded yesterday. 3 of the victims are, we are told, in critical condition, with one's very critical condition being extraordinarily critical. They were rushed to the Comfort Teaching Hospital for them to be saved along the line. 9 others sustained various degrees of injuries and were sent to the Otafo Government Hospital in Pankrono, where they are currently on admission too. About 27 cars have been burnt beyond recognition as the fire, we understand, swept through a nearby car fitting shop. So what we know happened was that there was an attempt to seal, they call it a flange, and this particular flange is like a valve that actually connects it, but it didn't work, so it came off. Then the gas was exposed to the air. Now the gas traveled to the nearest refuse dump where some fire was simmering, picked up the fire, then the whole place was in flames. So this is exactly what you understand happened. NADMO got there early enough, and NADMO has complained about how some of these stations did not observe the standards required of them. And I'm sure you've heard the NPA also make similar complaints before. We were given the impression that the NPA was in the mood to shut down some of these gas stations which are not meeting the standards, and were given to understand that some numbers were already being shut down or asked to improve their services. It's unclear how this is becoming the case. We do know that between 2014 and 2017, getting into the beginning of this year, almost 8 different gas explosions have happened. In 2014, the one at Nungwa and Tema happened. We know 2015, Kaswa and Dansuma. I'm sure that particular one is fresh on the minds of many, even though it's 2015. 2016, the famous Labadi incident. Then 2017, Takrade, that one happened. There's also one at Tulip Inn. Then the atomic one, which happened on the 7th of October. I mean, that's last month's own, right? We celebrated virtually had the 1 year celebration of that particular incident. And on the other side, the atomic incident reminds me, why have we not seen the published atomic reports?
Exactly.
Not recommendations for implementation.
The report itself.
We want the report itself. Why are we always promised specific things and we don't get it when it comes to some of these things? Especially when the report for what happened at June 3 and the recommendations for same was given out there, and yet a huge chunk has not been implemented. So where are the things we said we'll do June 3? Are we waiting for the next gas explosion for us to go back to ask of these same reports again and complain that nothing is happening in this case? And again, perhaps if government's solution, and you've heard government solution,
that's in the recirculation.
Yes. How that's going to fix the problem, I highly doubt. But really, we need to improve how safety is managed in this country. And I've seen a statement from the Bureau of Safety on this and other issues too.
Okay. Before you come in anymore, there's an accident around Shashi. A truck, an articulated truck carrying a container, has crashed into the Ghana Standards Authority compound at Shashi. Police are already on the scene, but it's causing a lot of traffic. So if you know of an alternative route, please use that alternative route if it's possible. So there's an accident around Shashi. A truck dragging a container has crashed into the GSA, that's the Ghana Standards Authority compound. Police are already on the scene. Motorists are advised to use alternative routes if possible. So what are the alternative routes if you are coming into town?
It depends where you're coming from. For example, if you're not got into the Atomic Junction, and you can use the west, how do you call the place?
West Legon?
The Westlands area.
Yeah, Westlands.
Yes,
West
then
Legon,
avoid it. Then can even come out through Gimpa. Then you join the stretch from what they call the Fiesta Royale. If you're also one of those coming from the East Legon, the tunnel is an alternative. So you can decide to use the tunnel so that you avoid Shashi in this case. So, but the interesting part is,
if you're on the road and for Medina you haven't gotten to Okponglo, you can also branch off at Okponglo. Yes,
so that you can join the enter East Legon, go off to the other end,
and then use the tunnel like you said. Yes, if you have access to the university as well, you can use
the University of Ghana.
Yeah. But bottom line is, and if you're going the other way, if you're going, it's on the Shashi, it's on the Accra, entering Accra side of the road. So if you're going the other way, the road should be free. So please, if you're coming to Accra from Medina thereabouts, you want to use the Shashi road, please use any of the alternatives you mentioned. Of course, if you have any credible alternatives as well, you can share them with us on 0244 340437 so that we can share them with the rest of the world. Anymore, let's talk about teaching and degrees.
So the Minister for Education, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, was speaking yesterday at the Meet the Press session, and he's talking about teachers. So at the moment, when you go to become a teacher, you do the 3-year diploma in basic education, and then you have to do a 2-year top-up first degree by distance learning. He's saying that that is going to change, so that right now the teachers are doing 4-year degree programs. The other thing that's interesting to note about this is that these degree programs are going to be specialist ones. So if you're doing a B.Ed in early child education, then it means that you're going to teach from kindergarten to primary 3. If you do a B.Ed in primary education, then you're teaching from primary 4 to 6, and then JHS as well. So more specialized training targeted at different age groups and different educational levels. He also talked about the fact that if you do not hold a PhD plus certificate in education, you would not be able to teach in the university. And at the moment, most of the College of Education lecturers do not hold the PhD. And so they're going to be given time to upgrade and come up so that the quality of teachers that is coming out is much better, as we have been talking about for quite a while.
Yes, but let's also look at outcomes, exactly what is expected of them and the kind of students that we want to have. So that it's not just about the qualification and the activities they have, but the outcomes.
Yeah, they'll go and chew and pour and go and chew and pour and teach their kids how to chew and pour. It's interesting.
Speaking of chew and pour, you know one thing you need to chew? Your TIN, taxpayer identification number.
Yes, because now it's virtually your lifeline. Of course, apart from if you have your kid in school today, or your kid may be a beneficiary of free SHS next year, or go to school before September 2019, that's like a year from now, you should get that tax identification number, or else you may be exempted from the free SHS policy. Again, you cannot register for the National Health Insurance scheme. You can equally not acquire a passport. You can register your vehicles and land, and also open even a bank account and access other public services because you don't have a tax identification number. This is government's drive to make sure that at least, if you're not taxing them anytime soon, we identify the people who ought to pay taxes in the country, categorize them nicely so that we know how to plan for them in the nearest future. You know that TIN number business has been running for some time now. They tried with the DVLA and other things. It was virtually suspended along the line because people opposed it very well. Then they said, oh, they'll try and do it. Now, the banks also had a difficulty with implementing that with the bank accounts already. If you have 30% of your population being in the banking sector and you're struggling to get more into that particular sector, mindful of its current difficulties, how easy would it be for people to go get a tax identification number before they come and join the banking system? There's mobile money as an alternative. You get that. And it's not been told, we've not been told that even for mobile money, you may require the tax identification number.
Yes, we have been told that if you want to use mobile money. And, you know, the banking argument works for me because if you enter the banking sector, you are on your way to being formalized. You are like, you can be identified, you need to provide an address and what have you. And so for those in the banking sector, we can relax a bit. But for areas like free SHS, areas like mobile money, areas like all these other
National
services, National Health Insurance, services that are essential that people need.
Where the idea is that these are social protection programs, these are safety nets. What you do is not put impediments in the way of people who are accessing.
But Raymond, we need to formalize the economy. That is very important, and we need to be aggressive about it. Else, we'll be having this conversation about only 30% of the population being banked, only 1.5 million or so paying taxes when we have 29.6 million people.
How about
6 million
a
taxable.
better drive? What prevented us from? Of even going forward. What prevents us from, if you are doing the next census, use it to identify people and also tax what they call it, give them numbers. So you assign the number to the person. Start from even birth registration in the first place. Assign numbers to people right from the beginning, so that you know that this gentleman in the next 18 years will be at this particular age, will be required to pay tax.
But that means we have to wait for the next census. It's a great idea.
No, not just census. I've given an alternative, birth registration. So you start from a point. It doesn't have to be.
But how many people do we capture with birth registration in the first place?
Not all those who are supposed to be giving birth in hospitals. That's all. And again, we have improved that. Facility birth has improved massively in this country. So we have to move slowly.
That's also a good start.
Yes, so that we do not get to inconvenience people, because some lives depend on the social protection programs. Anyway.
Great ideas, Raymond. We are going to move back into the health sector, which Raymond brought us into with that conversation. Anyway, scrutinize pharmaceutical imports from Far East. Why Far East?
Well, because you remember that on November 12th, there was a memo signed by the Deputy Commissioner in charge of preventives, Mr. Seidu Idrisu, and he was talking about the fact that in South Korea, apparently some drugs had been smuggled in and they contained tissues of human fetus from infants and also allegedly hepatitis B virus. So
no, the drugs themselves,
yes,
when they were tested,
yes,
the capsules,
yes,
they had tissues of human fetus
from infants
and hepatitis.
Yes, the hepatitis B virus. So
No, it's not funny. Like it's very worrying.
Yes, no, it is. So he's saying that based on that and reports of attempts to import some of these pharmaceutical products into the country, all pharmaceutical imports and food coming in from China and the Far East should be thoroughly scrutinized before they are cleared. I don't know if this suggests that prior to this memo they weren't thoroughly scrutinized, but anyway, the point is at this point they're going to be thoroughly scrutinized before they are cleared from the country's ports. So the sector commanders at the borders are also going to collaborate with the Ghana Immigration Service, also to really clamp down on not just them coming through the port, but also coming through illegal entry points as well. So that's that story.
Let's go straight into the Dagbon crisis, Raymond. The end is near.
Yes, the Committee of Eminent Chiefs who have been working on the Dagbon crisis will today present their recommendations to the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at the Jubilee House. That's going to happen today. Already, we understand some agreement has been reached. The Otufo-led mediation committee actually has put together a roadmap. This is a fine roadmap to make sure that the chiefs who were killed or died along the line have been buried. You know that the feuding factions are the Abudu and the Andani groups, and they have actually not been able to perform the right ceremonies for almost a decade now. And this committee, for example, has been, within this decade, trying its best to get to a solution one way or the other. Sometimes when they make headway, now it gets improved, things are not working well, then it gets some side saying that they disagree, they are not going to go along with the plan, and all of that. So you have to start afresh all the times that we've made progress along the line. But now what we know for a fact is that the family of the royal family, specifically of the late Yana Mahamadou Abdullahi IV, will do their burial beginning 14 to 28 2018 of December specifically, while the funeral of the late Yana Yakubu Andani II will be performed from January 4 to 18th 2019. And this is what now government is supposed to facilitate and aid this process. Yesterday, you heard the regional minister saying they will not countenance any attempt by any group to descend from this roadmap because they've come very, very far. They will make sure that the right things are done. Security will be beefed up, and RESEC is not going to allow any grouping to cause trouble. But already
a group has started, has departed from this decision.
Yes, one of the groups is insisting, that is the Andanis. They are saying that they never agreed to any roadmap for the funeral to be done. They do not want to be dragged into it. They want peace, but the right thing ought to be done. And they're already sounding the alarm bell. And we hope this is resolved so that at long last, we have some lasting solution in that particular area. Because the ancient Dagbon Kingdom itself has occupied a very extensive area. We know that this was right from the Volta Bianco to the Oti areas in times past. The Dagbon Kingdom was formed from the 14th century, and there's some specific information that you ought to know about it. There was a very powerful person from like Burkina Faso with strength and power who occupied the area where they were indigenous and then integrated into the community and became part of them. So along the line it became problematic. This family members, so one side of the family and the other side of the family, having to have difficulties over who becomes the ruler of the area.
Okay.
But finally, we hope we get peace.
Okay. Raymond, some good news within the last 10 minutes that we've been talking. And the Shiashi Road has been cleared. There was an accident at the Ghana Standards Authority building, but that accident has been cleared. It's not obstructing traffic anymore. So you can use your usual route to work or to wherever you're going, if indeed that's the case. The Shiashi Road has been cleared. Initially, there was a truck that had run into the GSA building. That is not an impediment to ongoing traffic anymore. Thanks so much to authorities for acting so swiftly. We salute the police and the good work that they're doing. We're going to go online now, and the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank. In your best interest, Goyle Good Energy. Download the Safe Doctor app now from Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, from now till January 2019, anytime you buy Goyle fuel, 80 cedis and above, collect a scratch card, dial *161 *4645 hash and follow the steps. You receive an instant message for your reward. Then, or you get free rewards like fuel, airtime, lunch for 2, driver's vest, and many more. So buy more, text more to accrue more points, because additionally, there will be loyalty rewards every month. When you accrue the highest points, you receive a Goyle Go card loaded with up to 1,000 Ghana cedis fuel or free lubricants plus free servicing and hotel accommodation for 2. Drive to any Goyle station, buy more and get your rewards instantly. Call a Fee promo runs till January 2019. Terms and conditions apply. Goyle Good Energy. Goyle Yenara Yedia. Now, your bank of choice, Zenith Bank, is the best customer service bank in Ghana. Our ability to serve you with the very best of products and services in the banking industry has earned us the Excellence in Customer Service Award at the 2018 Ghana Business Awards. We've also won several notable customer service awards, both locally and internationally. So go on, make that move today and achieve your aspirations with Zenith Bank, because we care. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. Raymond, I'm still curious to hear about that 2-month-old baby who is in jail with his mother. But before we do that, myjoyonline.com says governments to complete merger of ADB NIB by December 31. That answers some of the questions we had when the finance minister announced that a new bank will be formed as the National Development Bank. So will this new merger be beside, apart from the National Development Bank, or it will be subsumed by the newly formed bank? That's the next question to be answered by leadership. Of course, Kweku Kwasi, Deputy Finance Minister, said the last time he came that has not been decided yet. Government is still deciding on the fate of these 3 entities. Lecturers without PhDs will not teach in Ghana's universities. Education Minister Enima alluded to that earlier. Manson Kwanta killings. Investigative committee criticized for limited scope. You want to get the details of that on myjoyonline.com. Government urged to improve blood bank infrastructure. They've been urged by Prof. Mrs. Ivy Adjoa Efiefi Ekem. She's the Dean of Medical Sciences at the University of Cape Coast. 12-member council for GTUC inaugurated. Good morning to all of the new council members for Ghana Technology University Council. They're chaired by Professor Kwame Osei Boateng, Director of the Institute of Distance Education, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Other online stories, the BBC reports this story that has been making headlines in international media. You heard what President Trump has said about his relationship with Saudi Arabia related to the Khashoggi, the Khashoggi killing. So Trump asked to determine Saudi prince's role in Khashoggi murder. However, Mr. Trump has said that he will not allow this to mar the relationship the U.S. has with Saudi Arabia, because a lot of money is involved. 400 million is what Saudi Arabia is investing in America. He's saying that if they do not maintain these relationships, Russia and China may overtake the US of A. And people are saying, yes, it's an economic decision, but think about the human rights. So it's quite a debate in international. But this morning, he has tweeted, Mr. Trump has tweeted, he said America first. So I'm wondering
as to whether that means American principles of protecting human rights across the world first,
or the American economy.
The American economy.
You know what this reminds me of? When Mr. Trump himself used that unsavory word against Ghana, and people were calling for strong action from African leaders and what have you. They're saying, look, we need their money. So whatever they say.
But our president expressed his disgust at that particular commentary, and he was like a fear of the other African leaders who are the requisite size of they call it testicular fortitude.
Thank you very
to
much.
be able to face this particular man on the other side.
Well, and for the woman, it's mammary fortitude.
Okay.
Okay. It's time for us to go. But remember, next week, Tuesday, 27th of November, 2018, we will be bringing out our scorecard. It's been nearly 2 years since this government has been in power. It's time for you. Yes, I'm talking to you, the listener, to make up your mind as to how the performance has been in the mid-year mark. Elsewhere, there are elections where governments use to grade themselves and their performance. But this time, you will choose. And we'll be doing all that analysis here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're going to have the forum at the Labadi Beach Hotel. It's going to start at 10 a.m. It's going to end at 4 p.m. It's a whole day affair. We will be evaluating the performance of this government for the past 22
sector by sector. Every relevant sector, we will deal with it.
Yes. And yours truly, Daniel Dazi, will be one of the moderators. Raymond Akwa will be one of the moderators. All of the people you like hearing speak big English on Joy 99.7 FM and Joy News will be here. Right. So we're going to take these important messages and then we take the BBC News at 7. Stay with us. This is still the Super Morning Show.
Yeah, Boga Kofi Mark here, innit?